Hello everyone. This story follows the heartfelt journey of James and Diep, from their newlywed days, welcoming twin daughters, to the challenging yet love-filled moments of raising their children together. Through every hardship, their bond grows stronger, creating a happy and close-knit family. If you enjoy warm and meaningful family stories, don't forget to hit subscribe to follow more exciting content. Thank you for being with us on this journey. After a wedding day wrapped in white flowers and tender promises, James and Diep stepped into their new life together, filled with hope and quiet dreams. Their first home was a modest house nestled at the edge of a pine forest, where morning light filtered softly through sheer curtains, casting gentle shadows on wooden floors. The air was always crisp and scented faintly with pine needles and earth, a peaceful retreat from the relentless pace of the outside world. Every day began with the familiar sounds of birdsong, and every night ended with the hush of leaves whispering in the breeze. For James and Diep, this house was more than just walls and a roof. It was the place where they would build the first chapters of their family story. Not long after settling in, life surprised them with a joyous secret: Diep was expecting twins. The news came on a quiet afternoon when the golden light of late summer streamed through the kitchen window. James was sitting at the table, sipping tea, when Diep's smile told him everything before she spoke. Her hands rested gently on her slightly rounded belly, and for the first time, he saw the tiny new world growing inside her. A wave of awe and tenderness swept over him. From that moment, James threw himself into learning everything he could about caring for both his wife and their soon-to-be-born daughters. He read books late into the night about twin pregnancies, practiced cooking simple, nourishing meals to help ease Diep's nausea, and even learned to prepare warm compresses for her aching back. Diep, meanwhile, faced the early months with quiet courage. The relentless waves of morning sickness left her drained, and the heaviness of carrying two little lives tested her strength. Yet despite the fatigue and discomfort, she always found joy in the small moments: the gentle kick that sent a flutter through her belly, the soft heartbeat she could sometimes hear during doctor visits, the way James would rest his palm over her abdomen and whisper promises to the babies they hadn't met yet. She marveled at how quickly their little family was growing, how love seemed to multiply and fill every corner of their home. James was there for every step, not just as a husband but as a protector and partner. He became an expert at midnight walks around the house to calm Diep's restless nerves, a tireless listener when she worried about the future, and a steady hand to hold through every ultrasound appointment. The couple shared stolen moments of laughter and tender glances, silently reassuring one another that no matter how overwhelming the journey might be, they were in it together. Each day, as James pressed his ear to Diep's belly, he imagined the tiny faces of their daughters, bright, curious, full of life, and felt an unshakable bond forming before they even arrived. Their home, once quiet and simple, began to hum with anticipation. Soft lullabies were practiced quietly at night, and tiny outfits were carefully folded and stacked. The scent of lavender oil and chamomile tea became a new kind of comfort, weaving through the rooms like a promise of care and protection. In this cocoon of love and hope, James and Diep prepared not only for the arrival of their daughters but also for the challenges and joys that parenthood would bring. They knew the road ahead would be long and sometimes hard, but in those early days, wrapped in the golden light of their new life. Nothing else mattered, only the future they would build, hand in hand, as a family. The arrival of their twin daughters, Anmeen and Envi, transformed James and Diep's lives in ways they had never fully imagined. The dreamlike days of pregnancy gave way to the overwhelming reality of parenthood, a world filled with sleepless nights, endless diaper changes, and the constant hum of a baby monitor. From the moment they brought their tiny daughters home, everything changed. The quiet house was instantly filled with the soft cries of two newborns, their tiny hands reaching out for comfort, and the ceaseless rhythm of feeding and soothing. James and Diep quickly realized that raising twins was not simply double the work, it was an entirely new level of challenge. No longer could they think in terms of individual needs, everything was doubled, multiplied, and magnified. When one baby cried, it often triggered the other, creating waves of sound that seemed to echo through every corner of their small home. Nights blurred into mornings as the couple took turns rocking, feeding, and calming their daughters. James became an expert at the midnight diaper change, moving quietly so as not to wake Diep, while she mastered the delicate art of feeding both babies without losing her own breath. Exhaustion settled in Diep, and there were moments when the weight of responsibility pressed heavily on their shoulders. One particular night, after hours of trying to soothe Envi's inconsolable crying, James and Diep found themselves sitting on the floor of their nursery, backs pressed against the wall, utterly spent. Neither spoke, but the shared silence was filled with mutual understanding. This was harder than they had imagined, tougher than any challenge they had faced before. Tears welled up in Diep's eyes as she leaned into James, who wrapped his arms around her, whispering reassurances that neither of them quite believed but desperately needed to hear. Yet, amid the chaos, something extraordinary was happening. The trials of sleepless nights and relentless care forged an unbreakable bond between them. Every exhausted smile, every whispered word of encouragement, every shared glance carried the weight of deep love and unwavering commitment. They learned to read each other's silent cues, anticipating when one needed a break or when the other was close to breaking down. The hardships became a language of love, not always spoken aloud but understood in every touch, every sigh, every tired but hopeful look. Diep's strength amazed James day after day. Despite the physical toll, she radiated a fierce tenderness as she cradled her daughters, soothing them with songs and soft words. James admired her resilience, often catching himself staring at her with awe, wondering how she could give so much without losing herself. And yet, he knew they were both changing, growing into parents in real time, learning through trial and error what it truly meant to nurture life. Their house, once a quiet sanctuary, was now a vibrant home pulsing with the breath of new life and the hum of love in its rawest form. They also found small moments of joy that shone through the exhaustion. The first time Anmeen smiled up at James during a feeding, or when Envi reached her tiny hand to grasp Diep's finger, those fragments of light gave the couple the strength to keep going. On rare afternoons when the babies napped simultaneously, James and Diep would steal a moment just to sit together, sharing a tired laugh or a quiet cup of tea, savoring the simple presence of one another amid the storm of new parenthood. Even in their most vulnerable moments, James and Diep never forgot the promise they made on their wedding day, to face life's challenges together. The difficulties of raising twins only deepened their bond, reminding them that love is not always easy or glamorous, but it is steadfast and true. Through the long nights and relentless days, they discovered a profound truth, that in the journey of parenthood, every sacrifice is wrapped in the promise of a love that will shape and define them forever. As weeks turned into months, the exhausting days slowly gave way to moments of joy that made every sleepless night worthwhile. James and Diep watched in awe as their daughters, Aneen and Vi, began to grow from fragile newborns into lively toddlers, each with their own curious spark. The house, once quiet and orderly, transformed into a joyful chaos, filled with the patter of tiny feet racing down the hallways, scattered toys, and the constant hum of laughter. James found himself learning new skills, ones he never imagined would be part of his life. He became a master at braiding little hair, tying tiny shoelaces, and inventing silly songs to make the girls giggle. Meanwhile, Diep perfected the art of baking cupcakes, knowing just how much Vi loved sweets. Together, they created a home bursting with warmth and creativity, where every corner echoed with the sound of love and life. But parenthood wasn't without its challenges. There were mornings when the house was a whirlwind of tantrums, spilled milk, and hurried breakfasts. There were days when James and Diep disagreed on how to handle a meltdown or balance work and family time. Yet, despite the occasional tension, their shared devotion to their daughters kept them united. They learned to communicate with patience, to compromise, and above all, to support each other unconditionally. What truly amazed them was the transformation within themselves. They had become more patient, more resilient, and infinitely more loving than they ever thought possible. Every small milestone, Aneen's first steps, and Vi's first words, felt like a victory not just for the girls, but for James and Diep as well. They celebrated these moments quietly, sometimes with just a knowing smile shared across a crowded room, other times with full-hearted cheers. Their evenings became sacred family time. After busy days filled with work and school runs, James, Diep, and the twins would gather in the living room, curled up on the couch with picture books and gentle lullabies. It was in these simple rituals that the strength of their family revealed itself, a bond forged through love, perseverance, and the endless ebb and flow of everyday life. Sometimes, James would catch Diep looking at their daughters with eyes full of pride and wonder. In those moments, he felt an overwhelming gratitude for the family they had built, a family that wasn't perfect, but perfectly theirs. And as the girls grew, so did their dreams for the future, woven tightly together with hope and the promise of many more shared adventures. No matter how chaotic or challenging the journey became, James and Diep knew that every smile, every hug, and every I love you from Aneen and Vi was the greatest reward they could ever ask for. Their home was alive with love, messy, beautiful, and utterly unforgettable.